a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Day 3 of the daily episodes coming at you. And it turns out to be a really good idea doing these daily episodes because every single day there's been movement and changes and information coming out. If we wait till Thursday, we'll miss half of this stuff.
Tell my wife that.
We're going to go through today's rumours, today's very, very volatile bookies markets in the Rotherham United manager search. A couple of interviews come from the club, a couple of bits of information from the club. We'll go through all that in the next half an hour or so. Mick is with us. How are you doing, Mick?
All right, mate. How are you?
Not bad, thank you. Danny's back with us. How are you going, Danny?
I'm good, thank you.
Seeing you more than my kids at the minute, than you two.
you poor thing.
And Lewis is with us. Thank you for joining us, Lewis.
Pleasure to be back on, chaps. Thank you for having me.
A lot has changed since we last spoke to you. I think it was pre-season when we spoke to you.
I think the last time I was on was a pre-season, the predictions episode. So, yeah, I missed quite a lot since then.
Yeah.
Really.
It's been a roller coaster since then. It's been an absolute
as expected, really.
Where to start, to be honest with you? Let's mop up the John Breckin interview, which he'd done with the club first, because I think that answers questions that we put forward last night, doesn't it, Danny, about the coaching staff, the setup. It's once again a really, really good interview from the club, from a football person that just just settles everybody a bit.
Yeah, it does. It's someone who very, very much loves the club. And yeah, it's just another calm, reassuring voice. I swear someone at the club watches these podcasts and writes notes about it, because more or less all of my questions have been answered from that one interview. The whole thing of, the contingency plan and this, that and the other. And by the sounds of it, if we do have Woods and Peltier in the 18-man squad, it would be Breckin in the technical area taking things on. So, yeah, I'm happy that Breckin's come on board. He's someone who knows the job, knows the advice to give out. And, he said he watched training on Monday and he's just there if Wood and Peltier need him for any guidance or any advice or anything like that. So, yeah, thank you very much to Breckin. But the more important thing is he's brought a friend with him to help out, hasn't he?
He has. Mick, Billy Mercer has taken over the role of goalkeeping coach. And to be fair, as Breck's point out, we didn't really mention this last night, but the goalkeeper coach is almost a must, really. The players can sort of look after themselves, but there's only 3 goalkeepers. They need help to be able to actually do the training in terms of personnel. And Billy Mercer's obviously played for the club a while ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds from the interview that Billy Mercer's offered his services rather than being asked as well, which is great. And again, a testament to the club itself and the love that some people have for it. He's a good player, Billy. I liked him a lot. And it's great to have him back, in the fold, even if it's only temporarily. You talked earlier on about the betting odds. Well, Billy Mercer is Sean Dyche's goalkeeping coach.
Read into that what you will.
Just saying. That's all I'm saying.
Where's my tinfoil at? Hang on.
Yeah. To be fair, people have been asking for Sean Dyche, so,
Get yourself onto Sky Bet, say, what can we get now? What odds can we get on Sean Dyche? Let's see if they come in after tonight.
Are you trying to move the market, Mick?
Listen, I wouldn't be so crass, if that's the right word.
He's not on list. You get Sam Allardyce for 100 to 1 if you fancy it.
I talked about chewing one of my own arms off last night, didn't I? I think we'll go down that route again, do we?
As mentioned in the comments, as Mick just mentioned, he is the goalkeeping coach for Sean Dyche. So it is obviously only going to short-term job. Whenever Sean Dyche gets back in football, from what John Breckin said, Billy Mercer will be back on his way again. And that's sort of fine, because whichever manager comes in will want his own staff anyway. So that sort of makes perfect sense to me. Lewis, obviously, this is the first time we've spoken to you since the incident happened, since the changeover. What's been your thoughts and feelings of the last, nearly 7 days now since it all happened?
It's a roller coaster, isn't it? As you would expect with anything to do with Rotherham. The news come out just before I went to Paris and all this. That were nice.
Holiday ruined.
A nice vibe breaker before I went away. But yeah, I'm still a bit gutted, to be honest. After watching, I was working early, so I had Sky Sports News on, and Paul Warren popped up with his press conference, and I tried to avoid it, but it was just on, so I just couldn't. I had to watch it. But yeah, I'm happy for Warren. There's no one deserves a job more than him, but it's just still a bit fresh into it. But we move on. We're not defined by a manager. We're just we'll find someone better, hopefully.
Yeah, I've muted Derby County and everything. DCFC.
Yeah, I think
it's all muted on my Twitter now. Can't bear it. We've got a few people with us: Damien Dunkley, Scott Grundy, S64 Miller, Chris Sanderson, Sean Green, YouTube user. Scott Grundy says JB John Breckin is a superstar. Yes, he is. S64 Miller, Lewis, she's got some of your artwork.
Oh, I'm at the game on Saturday, so I'll get in touch with you. Pick it up.
There you go. We like to be helpful on the podcast. That's one way we can help.
Just a bit of admin in the way there.
Dean Cately says if Brex is in the dugout, we should all get the red gloves back on.
Yes, I love that
idea. Jamie says, who will look after on Saturday if we don't have a manager yet? It would still be, I think Woody would take the title of interim or caretaker, whatever you want to take, which he doesn't officially have yet, I don't think. And then Brex would really realistically be making the decisions. And you never know. As a one-off occasion, he may bring help in to help on the bench, like Ronnie or something like that, as like a helping out in the dugout type thing. Nobody get excited; they're not coming back.
Although in the interview, he didn't exactly say no. He said he might be a bit past it for playing, but he left the door open for the other one.
Yeah, and good news, Breck, he got a free pair of boots out of it. So if nothing else, he's got a free pair of boots. So good on him.
I mean, to be fair though, I think everybody in Rotherham would give Breck a free pair of boots if they could.
Yeah, probably would. Yeah. So where are we in comments and stuff? So Scotty Price, let's go with Scotty Price. Evening lads, Bonner is now the favourite for the job. It's changing daily. Still wouldn't surprise me if nobody's on the betting list. We say this every day, and people still keep telling us we know that the betting odds aren't set in stone. We know that they're not completely stuff to rely on. It's just the best guideline we have because we don't have inside information. So this is why we're going to use this information. But what a roller coaster of a day it's been of bookie odds. First thing this morning, we woke up and Dean Holden was 1-9, which for anybody who doesn't know bookies odds, that means it's a nailed on, it's a certainty. And then as the day gradually went by, that started getting closer and closer to evens, and Mark Bonner started getting closer and closer to evens, and they've just crossed in the night, really. Dean Holden is now not odds on favourite. Mark Bonner is now odds on favourite with Bet Victor, and somebody else will not name check of Gamble Responsibly and everything like that, which we will always say on this because we don't promote it. Mick, you have better knowledge of the booking or bookies odds. Bookies do know. Bookies have information because people bet on them. So that's why they're a guideline. But this has been a strange day for the odds.
It has. The first thing to bear in mind with bookies odds, particularly bookmakers, is that they make it look like there's a more realistic chance of something happening than there actually is. That's how they make their money. And the other thing to understand is if one price moves inwards, another one's going to move outwards. So the movement could be just money being put on one person, or move another set of odds in or another set of odds out, for example. So I'm not suggesting, I don't think that the bookies have got any inside information, but you never know. It's a very small market, and that's the key to this in terms of whether you can trust the odds or not. So there's very little liquidity in this market at all. So a £10 bet is going to move the odds, whereas on Grand National, a £100,000 bet wouldn't move the odds. If that kind of makes gives it sort of an indication. So they're not reliable. However, what I would say is when you've got 2/3 people streets ahead in terms of the odds, then you can be pretty certain that those three are genuinely the main sort of targets, if you like, and which is basically what we've got in it.
We've got two, haven't we? We've only got
Yeah.
two outright favourites, Dean Holden and Mark Bonner. We've been told there is a third. The information we have is there is a third man being interviewed for the job. The interviews have happened today, apparently. That was been told by Rob State to tweet that out, saying that the interviews have started today, earlier than we expected. We're expecting three names. I think they've all been done today. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they've been done today, which now moves on to the decision-making process. Who the third man is, we will sort of find out. We probably won't. If we don't get a job, we won't find out, will we?
What you might find tomorrow is that they've done two interviews today, Bonner and Dean Holden, and tomorrow a third person might come into the running, and that be the person who's interviewed tomorrow. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but who knows?
Yeah. We're going to concentrate. I think we've talked about Holden a little bit. We haven't really talked about Mark Bonner in a bit more detail, so we are going to talk about it. And this is not because he's got the job. We don't know. This is just because we haven't really talked about him. Dave Park says, have we heard the rumour that Bonner's had an interview today? That is the general rumour, that him and Holden have had an interview today, plus maybe another. Mark Bonner, Lewis, well, I'm not going to sit and pretend we know loads about him. I know that we played them 3 times last season, and Cambridge, who were managers, and I was more impressed with Cambridge than any other team in League One last season. I thought all 3 occasions they were excellent. I know from listening to people who know things that Mark Bonner is a very impressive person in terms of the way he speaks, the way he conducts himself. And I know that Cambridge fans like him a lot. That's just about enough for me to say, yeah, I'm happy if he comes in. How do you feel?
Yeah, definitely. I tweeted earlier after it came out that I can't remember what it's called. The TalkSport reporter said he's a serious contender, and that he'd be my pick because after last season, I think they were definitely the best team that we played against. Considering how I think they were finished 14th in league, and they should have been way higher than that from what we've seen from them. And they've had a good. I think they're 7th in league now, so they have a good start, which is higher than they should be given the budget really. I did a bit of research today. He's been with them since 2011, and he's had roles in the academy, and then he was the caretaker for a while, and then assistant, and then now manager. So he's still relatively inexperienced, but from everything you hear about him from fans and media, it's all very, very positive. So I think it'd be a great appointment.
Did you see the Cambridge fans on Twitter saying Bonner hates Rotherham, scum, and this, that, and other, and everyone completely missed the scum part and just went, "Oh, such and such getting the badge in," and it all turned into this light-hearted thing. So he is obviously very, very fond to the Cambridge fans, isn't he? Both because he's from there and because he has done a stellar job, like say Lewis, and he got promoted with him in the COVID season from League 2. And just having a look at his manager stats, granted this is Wikipedia, by the way, because I'm not professional like some people are in this call, Matt. His winning percentage over both caretaker and permanent manager roles is 45.5%, which isn't bad.
That's impressive. Over how many games?
Including his caretaker spell, he's managed 134 games, 61 wins, 27 draws, 46 losses.
Considering there's a season there in the bottom half of the table as well. That's not bad at all.
No, not at all.
I think that impressed me most about him last season, Mick, when we played Cambridge, is there was a lot of teams last season, both home and away, that did Wickham. They sort of sit in, they made it very difficult for us to play football because we were one of the best teams in the league. I understand why teams did that. Cambridge matched us and tried to give us a game and did give us a game by not doing that. They came and had a pop and made life very difficult for us. And that's what strikes me as a bit more exciting than sort of anybody else's, that he didn't seem to care. It doesn't matter if it's Rotherham United with Dan Barlaser and Chio and Michael Smith. We're just going to have a go and play our own game and cause you problems. And how they lost all 3 games, I'm not sure I'll ever know, to be honest with you.
No.
But the way they did it impressed me more than the actual results than anything else.
We said it at the time when we played them. Each game that we played them, the away game were a bit drab, to be fair. But certainly the 2 games at New York were excellent. They were absolutely head and shoulders above anybody else we played last season at New York Stadium for me. So and they've got some exciting young players as well, which we're threatening that Derby might come in for all ours, despite the fact that they can't buy any players. So that's not going to happen. But there might be some coming the other way should he get the job as well. So we mentioned him right from the start. I think it was Will that initially put his name forward during one of the podcasts shortly after Warney left. And for me, I think he would be my choice from the little that I know out of the 3 or 2 that are up there.
Yeah, no, I think I probably agree with you on that one. Chris Sanderson on a slightly different topic goes, the dream is on Saturday would be that Woody is in a suit on the touchline and then in the second half rip it off like Superman and come on to score the win. And obviously do a dance. That would be pretty amazing, to be honest with you.
Impressive.
We can dream, can't we? Neil Bolton says apparently Gareth Ainsworth wanted full control, but Tony Stewart would not give it to him, so he's out. 3 interviews done, Bonner, Alden and Rossini, who he thinks is the 3rd. Can you see that with Gareth Ainsworth? Can anybody see that with Gareth Ainsworth?
I've read that before. What does that mean?
What, full control?
Yeah.
Well, it
like transfers and stuff.
I had full control, really, didn't he?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, well, Rob Scott collected the targets, then I imagine Paul Warne had the final say who he actually went for. I guess.
I've read it a couple of times, and it struck me that when I get the point, but I'm not really sure entirely what that means. Don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. Hopefully that is the case, and he's not running anymore.
Yeah. Don't know how many back on that Mark Bonner. He's been a Cambridge fan since 19. So yeah, we spoke to Henry Wilson last year. We did when we did the scout report with Cambridge. The story of Mark Bonner is an exceptional story. He was a fan. He was on the terraces as a child, as a season ticket holder. Didn't play professional football. Decided he wanted to be a coach. Worked his way up through the Academy of Coaching, Cambridge United's academy. I think he left to go somewhere because Cambridge shut down their academy. A few years later, came back as one of the first team coaches, then took over as caretaker manager and as now a manager. The story is amazing. And that shows, Danny, that shows he's not relying on his playing experiences. He's not got a job because he's a Cambridge legend as a player. He's had to work it. He's had to put graft in there to get the job. And that tells me that he's not going to just come in and sit in his laurels. If he does come here, even though we're not his club, he's clearly not the type of guy just to sit around and hope it goes well.
Yeah, I think as well, not just his own experience, having worked his way up from the ground up effectively with Cambridge. But by the sounds of it, he's also got quite an experienced team behind him as well. Because his assistant at the minute is Gary Waddock, I think that's how you say his surname, who has got a fair pedigree of clubs that he's played for. Like Queen's Park Rangers, Bristol Rovers, Luton Town. Even had a spell in Belgium as well, and was Republic of Ireland international. So he's been about a bit as well. This is just the thing of we've lost more or less our entire coaching staff. So would Mark Bonner bring his coaching staff to us and work on it there with the same team? And he's also got Barry Corr as first team coach and Martin Davis as his goalkeeper coach. Oh, Barry Corr?
Yeah.
Did he?
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he were on loan back in mid-2000s, I think.
Not what Wikipedia says.
I'm thinking Barry Conlon, I think.
He had a brief spell at Sheffield Wednesday, Barry Corr, back in 05 to 07.
We don't want them.
And then Martin Davis was never a professional goalkeeper, but played a lot of games for Cambridge City before hanging up his boots. So I don't know if that would be Mark Bonner's team if he came here. Sounds like he's got a good unit with him, though. Yeah, very interesting. Although I would want to keep the fella Brex brought as our goalkeeper coach. Keep Sean Dyche out of work for a little bit. Let him be our goalkeeper coach, and away we go. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Yeah, people are right. We've got Neil Fox in the comments saying we don't know if Bonner's gone for it yet. We don't. You're right. We don't know for certain. But we're not. This isn't just Bucky's rule. When you look at everywhere on Twitter, again, can't always be trusted. But everywhere, Alex Crook, who broke the Paul Warne story, he broke Paul Warne leaving Rotherham United, has said that Mark Bonner is basically the favourite or one of the favourites for the Rotherham United job. That's good enough for me, to be honest with you. That says we're moving in the right direction in terms of trying to appoint somebody, to be honest with you. Anything else you want to talk about on Mark Bonner? We've mentioned quite a lot. Again, we may not even turn up, to be honest with you. Anything else you want to mention on him?
No. Let's go to wait and see, haven't we? Got to wait and see. If he's been there today, if that's true, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. The people in the comments sort of saying that Paul Warne didn't have control. There was a transfer committee that blocked and did transfers.
Not really a transfer committee. It's just that him, Richie, Hammy, and Woggy all had to agree on the transfer for it actually to go through. That's what they mean by it's not really one. He had ultimate decision of who he wanted, but it had to be a complete collective yes if they were to go for it. So, like I say, we blocked Stockton and Grigg. We were never in for Stockton. And Grigg, yeah, there were a couple no's in there, so we didn't bother. That's all that is. It's not really a transfer committee because we aren't run by a committee anymore because the last time that happened was in the 30s. So, anyway.
Phil Oxley says we've seen...
Sorry, I expect that the sort of intimation there is that the non-footballing side have had an input into it as well. I assume that that's what the implication is within that sort of that view. Surely you would expect Rob Scott to have had an input into who came, who didn't. Tony Stewart will obviously have an input into it in terms of from a financial point of view. So there is a group of people, all of whom will have to have an input and say yeah or nay on any transfers. But that applies to every club. I don't think that's anything that's unique to Rotherham United. So who knows? Who knows?
And to be fair, it's worked quite well. Our transfer business has been pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. Phil Oxley says we seem to be favour of Bonner based on a couple of games. Do we need a more experienced appointment now, or do we still want to solidify? I have an interesting question, Lewis. Experience isn't necessary. Experience isn't everything. Obviously, it helps, but if you've got somebody who the club think is ticks all the boxes in terms of Mark Bonner or Dean Holden or whoever else it may be, is experience that important?
I don't think so. I think it depends what you're looking for, really. You look at Warne, he had no experience at all, and look how he ended up. But I know it's like a bizarre situation with Warne, I suppose, but it shows that you don't have to, the experience isn't always the answer. And Stuart's already said that he wants someone who was young and enthusiastic, and that Bonner certainly fits that. And he's got, after only 2 and a little bit of years in management, he's got a great pedigree already. I know there's an argument he's not managed in the Championship before, but with the budget we've got, we're not going to be able to attract the Sean Dyches of this world. We're going to have to take a little bit of punts, I think, if we're going to kick on. It might not work, but I think that's in the position we need to be in.
Yeah, I agree. There's no real movement tonight. The Rob Edwards link hasn't gone anywhere. I think he's second or third favourite for the Colchester job. Oddly enough, that'd be a very strange move. Don't know. We'll sort of keep an eye on that. Again, there's no rumours other than it'd be nice to interview him. There's been no rumours of any substance of that. We've got a comment saying, Mick, I'll give this one to you. If we don't need experience, give it Woody. Simple. Thoughts?
I would disagree with that. We need somebody who's got management experience, coaching experience. Woody hasn't got that, unfortunately, at the moment. He will have. I have no doubt whatsoever he will become a Football League manager, whether it be Rotherham United or somewhere else in the future, manager/coach. There's absolutely no doubt about that. It's about the level of experience that you need, but that's only part of the job, isn't it? It's about your ability. Mainly, it's all about ability. Ultimately, experience is important, but it's about ability and ambition, and whether you're going to be able to motivate the players, whether you're going to be able to whether you're tactically aware. All these things, there's many parts of it. I don't think necessarily it needs to be championship experience or premiership experience or whatever. It's about the experience as a manager, as a coach, rather than necessarily at what level. And I'm not talking about somebody who's coached Red Lion for 3 weeks on a Sunday morning, but you know what I mean. You know where I'm coming from. And Bonner is inexperienced in terms of he's only been at it a couple of 3 seasons, but he's worked his way up over his, albeit short, adult life. It's been his life, so he is an experienced coach. So, whereas Woody, unfortunately, at this stage, not yet, but he will be. There's absolutely no doubt about that in my mind, none at all.
I agree. It comes back and says the comment was facetious, but I think it's still a point that some people will make.
It is a point because, for all those things we just said there.
Yeah, it is. Is there any other names that have shouted out to you, Danny? Is there anybody else who you think? Oh, no, Lewis, yours to you. Anybody else that sort of jumped out? Dean Alden, I don't know enough about it, and I have not found any positive information other than his win ratio was very good for a short period of time. That's sort of where we sit with him, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, you say about names shouting out. I had a discussion with a mate at uni yesterday, Matt Taylor, purely because my mate supports Exeter City, and he did actually do his experience, his placement experience with them last year. So that would be very funny to have Matt Taylor, and he's like, "Oh, Matt Taylor's doing well for Rotherham," and just him seething with anger. So that is the only other name I'd chuck in at the minute.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry. I'm going to say he came steaming in on the odds, didn't he? And then seems to have bottomed out a little bit. But, it might be that it's from Exeter, so he couldn't get up on a Tuesday after his phone call on Monday. So, we might see his odds coming in tomorrow if he is indeed on the short list.
Yeah. Shotgun Alfie said, I mentioned yesterday, Alfie says that Holden's a good fit. Yeah, it is. And we trust Alfie in this podcast.
Absolutely.
Lewis, any other names that you sort of seen on the list that you thought, they might be good, or do you think that maybe the opposite? Maybe you think we definitely don't want to stay away from them?
I thought I weren't too fussed about Paul Hurst at this point, to be honest. I always returned to Grimsby and done a decent job, but I think we need something a bit more than that at the moment. I like Rob Edwards, but I couldn't really see it after we just came out of Watford. But again, that you mentioned that about Colchester, that seems even weirder. Personally, I thought Cardiff might have been a shout for him. I know they're still looking out there for someone.
Yeah.
But other than that, really, I think the ones at the top now are the preferred ones, really.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I think we've talked about everything. Is there anything else mentioned? We talked about managers. Danny, do you want to give us some information about the charity game back in July?
Yes, we've finally got the total together. That's both on the day through the raffle, the auction that we did for the Kelbrook signed glove and the signed Rotherham United football, and the money from Grace Kelly's prints that were sold on the day as well. And the grand total is £1,900 for Rotherham Hospice.
Like it.
Great,
like it a lot.
Not well bad done. For a little kickabout in a field, is it, lads?
Absolutely. very well done to everybody involved in that. And like Danny says, we follow them on Twitter and Facebook for next year's. That's coming.
Yeah, we'll be looking around the same date next year. But yeah, thank you to everybody who raised money, attended, donated, everything. Thank you so much. Hoping to be even bigger and better next year.
Absolutely. We'll finish on one last question from Mike Miller. We'll go around the table. Mike Miller says, if they ask the candidates what is their ambition for the club, what do they say? Do they say consolidate the Championship? Do they say to go to the Premier League? What do we think that Tony Stewart would want to hear? Good question. That's a good question. Mick, I'll start with you. If you're Mark Bonner or Dean Holden, if you're asked that question, what do you see for Rotherham United's future? What do you see for Rotherham United's future?
I'm cheap. I think that's probably what Big Tony wants to hear. I'm not spending any money, mate, and I'm cheap. I mean, the obvious answer at the moment, short-term consolidation in this division, strengthen the squad and push on. And who knows where you're going to end up. There's no certainties, obviously, in football. But as a chairman, he's always said his aim is to get this club in the Premier League. I accept it's a pipe dream for most of us, and it probably will, in all reality, remain a pipe dream. However, you've got to aim somewhere, and that's obviously the ultimate aim for every club for all sort of 72 Football League clubs, isn't it? And if I'm going in there with that job, that would be my ultimate aim.
Fair enough. Lewis?
Yeah, I think Stuart said earlier this season he wants to consolidate this year, to kick on a little bit next year towards mid-table, upwards of mid-table. Then third year, would be the Premier League push, which again is a bit of a pipe dream at this moment in time. But you like to hear as a fan, don't you, to get excited. So I think that will be exactly what Stuart wants to hear. Consolidation to begin with, because it's changing mind in mid-season. Even despite our positive start, is troubled waters. It can go badly, and it could go well. So consolidation to begin with, then we can start dreaming, can't we? Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Danny, just about the same.
Yeah, probably keep us in the league this season. Have a contingency plan in place for next season if it doesn't happen, and potentially develop the youth system a bit more in future. I know Ramwood doesn't quite accommodate the youth system that Warney would have liked, and potentially the new manager would like. So I believe Cambridge have got a fairly good youth system. I know Dean Holden at Bristol City have a fairly good youth system, and Exeter have an excellent youth system. So they probably want to consolidate that as well, but maybe look for a future site. So that could be like a 5-year plan thing, for example. But yeah, consolidate for this season, have a contingency plan for next season in League One and in the Championship already in place, I think. But for the least money possible, because then they've got the job straight away.
There you go. Somebody's put on Twitter, what about Lee Johnson? Lee Johnson. He is in a job, to be fair. He's in the Hibs job. And even if he wasn't.
It's a blade. It's United who's put that in it.
Is it?
I think so. I read it earlier on.
I was just coming on. Anyway.
I hope it's one of them anyway.
I hope it's No, we really don't. Sorry, I don't. No, he's a Rotherham fan. No, we don't want Lee Johnson. Even if he was available, I want Lee Johnson. Streaky Lee. It's not all past 3, I'm afraid. Bless him. After all, stick with give me. It's a bit like Carl Robinson. If he ever became a manager, it probably wouldn't be a good look for us.
I'm sure he's a lovely bloke deep down.
Probably. He's just a shot on the outside. We'll cap it there. Thank you all for listening. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, wherever, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will be back again on, what day is it? We'll be back again on Wednesday evening, live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Kev Johnson and Will Daniels will be joining us on that one. We may even, who knows, we may have an appointment. Or if not, we'll be back again on Thursday, where we may have an appointment. You never know.
We're back again on Friday. We might have an appointment and then maybe cry because there isn't one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Please subscribe. If you listen on the audio, please listen. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are. We're nearly in the top 100 soccer podcasts in the UK. So if you can, please keep downloading. We might even be able to get in top 100.
Who knew all you had to do was get in top 100? Do a podcast every day.
Yeah, get your club to sack the manager. Do a podcast every day.
Oh dear.
One, he's done us a favour here, I tell you now. He's done us a massive favour. It's been a pleasure. Mick, Danny, Lewis. I keep trying to call you Will. I'm sorry, Lewis. I keep saying Will. Lewis, it's a pleasure to have you back.
Thanks again, chaps.
I'll be all again soon. Thank you very much, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.